guys, it's Brooke from the Vintage Gardener. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be starting my Lisianthus. So Lisianthus is this beautiful flower. It's also known as Texas Bluebell, Prairie Gentian, and it's Texas Bluebell and Prairie Gentian. There was a comma there that you could not hear. But in my zone, it is definitely an annual. In warmer zones, I think if you plant the seeds in summer, it'll flower the next summer, but I think that's like zones 8, 9, and 10, or maybe like 9 and 10. They do take a while to sprout. They do take a while to grow. In New Jersey, I think it's like, takes like 5 to 6 months before you get any blossom. So it's not one of those things you want to start in March. So I did grow some starts that I got from local garden center. It was Flagg's Garden Center last year. And from what I remember, I did get them earlier in the summer. They did bloom a little bit. And during the height, when it was like summer was in full swing, they kind of tapered off. But then in September, when it started cooling down, it seemed like it started picking up production and it started blooming a lot. And from what I remember, it actually handled a light frost. And if I remember correctly, I think even it handled a killing frost, pretty well. So that's what I'm going to do. So the one I'm growing is called Chaconne Green. It gets 4 feet tall. You plant it in groups of 3 to 4 because it's not a particularly wide plant. One thing I will say is that it does have a lot of buds on it. And so I definitely have to, like when I put 3 or 4 together, I definitely need to put a support ring around them so they don't fall over, because that's what happened to the ones that I had this past year. The Chaconne Green is not like the ones I grew this past year. I think it's a lot more deeply ruffled, but it gets about 4 feet tall. So it's going to be something, the mid to back of your bed, depending upon where you're growing it. I got mine from GeoSeeds. It came 100 seeds pelleted. And where did I put those pellets? Okay, I was about to cry. So it comes in a little capsule like this. The seeds are pelleted just because they're easier to see. So this is 100. I did look up the growing instructions, because one thing about GeoSeeds is they do not give you growing instructions. They assume that, I think because most of the people who are buying it are like, florists, or perhaps people who are growing it for nurseries, like growers. They assumed you kind of already know the deal. So I had to look up some instructions. So I got the instructions from Johnny's. You do need to start it indoors. This is like 12 to 13 weeks before your last frost. They do recommend that you start it in a deep cell tray. So this is what I'm using. So basically I'm just going to fill them. I'm going to put the seeds on top. I'm not going to cover them. I don't have vermiculite. They do need light to germinate. I'm just going to kind of like basically put it on the soil and like press it down with my finger, and that's pretty much the extent of it. I'm going to be using the grow lights because, like I said, they do need light to germinate. They take 10 to 15 days if you're using a heat mat to keep the soil between 70 to 75. So I think I'm going to use 75. With the heat mat, it's not one of those things like, for example, like when you're using grow lights, you do have to turn those on and off because plants do need darkness. Heat, you need to have the consistent heat. So that's one of those things you're going to leave on until everything starts sprouting. And knowing me, I'll probably leave it on before, a little while after that. The room that I'm in, although it gets a lot of light, does get cool in here at night because of all the windows. Okay guys, so for this particular project and for all of my seeding projects this year, I'm going to be using ProMix BX because it has mycorrhizae. The mycorrhizae is a fungi or fungus, fungi from multiple, I think is how it works. But that helps the plant develop roots. I like this because on one hand, it does drain, but it does also retain moisture, so there's just a nice balance of that. I'm going to fill these cells with that. I already put it in this bucket, which you can't see. I have a Lowe's bucket here. I filled it with water, kind of made sure I incorporated the water. And I think once I put it in here, I'm gonna put 2 seeds in each cell because this cell has 50 and I've got 100 seeds. And I think once I put the top on it, and I think I'm gonna start off using the tall top just because it seems from what I was reading about starting them, they really do need to make sure they have good air circulation. And I can vent that. You know, I think once I put it on the heat mat, I think that, you know, if I have to water it, I'll have to water it very, very seldomly. Okay guys, that's it. There's actually more than 100 seeds in there, but I ain't complaining. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to put this lid over it. And for right now, I'm going to close it because I want the moisture and humidity to build up in there. There we go. And okay, so now I'm gonna put this on where it needs to go. Okay guys, so it's in its spot. So let me show you the thermometer. Hopefully you guys can see me because I know I'm really backlit here. Okay, so this right here is the, oops, what am I caught on? Okay, so I raised this up so it's closer to that. Right here, I'm gonna, well, first off, I need to place the probe. So here's the probe right here. So I'm gonna take this little plastic thingy off. And so basically, you don't insert, you make sure you don't insert it into water. So I definitely have to remove it before I water it. But basically you're gonna stick it like here. Okay, and so right now it's saying I gotta wait till it blinks, I believe. There we go. And now I'm just gonna set it for, I'm gonna set it for 75 because it's usually 3-degree grace, like wiggle room, so it's probably going to be more like 72. Okay, and so that's what it's going to do. So I'm going to watch it for a little bit because I want to make sure that it's actually working. So I don't know how long it's going to take to heat up, but I'll see. So I'll come in, right now it's saying 68.3. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can focus on it. 68.3. And it's got to get to 75. So I'll come back in like 15 minutes and we'll see where we are. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and program the lights so they come on tomorrow. Okay guys, so today is January 31st and I thought I'd show you guys how the Lisianthus have been doing. So I have gotten some germination. I didn't get as much germination as I would have liked, but still it's better than nothing. Listen, I'm gonna have too many plants anyway, so I'm not gonna stress about it, but let's see if I can count this up quick, guys. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I have 24. So not too bad. You guys, I don't usually start stuff inside, so I'm actually really proud of myself. This is working. Well, you know, that's because I didn't really have a light set up, but now I do. In case you guys are wondering, the brown stuff, that's cinnamon. I put it on to help with like the algae. I probably should have put it on before the algae started growing, but it doesn't seem to be causing an issue. What I do is I've been watering it from the bottom, and basically I put the cover, I leave the cover off during the day, so that way it helps with air circulation. Also with the water I have put in the bottom, it's going to draw it up and keep the soil evenly moist. I put on the cover at night because it does get kind of chilly in here. And what's the other thing? Oh, I did mix up some fertilizer in a milk container. I used the Job's, it's like a pump and grow, and so I pumped 8 parts of the fertilizer into that and filled it with water, and I just give it a little. So I've been watering this like every other day, so the fertilizer is not very strong, and so it's the type of thing I'll probably give it a little bit of a feeding, maybe 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, so pretty much when I water. So I'm really impressed with this because like this one right here is really getting it. Look at this one, y'all. So they're gonna stay small for a while, but that's fine. I'm gonna go hunt down my Bonide starter fertilizer because at this stage they really need more root development than leaf green development on top. So